Hello, happiness abounder, and welcome back. Today I want to talk about something that I think is on a lot of our minds, and it used to be on my mind several years ago, and it's really this question of why does happiness have to feel so hard? Now, I know I talk about happiness all day, every day, pretty much, and if you're a longtime listener of the show, you probably know that I could talk about happiness a lot, over 500 episodes worth. But before I started the podcast and before I started my own happiness journey, I felt like happiness was really hard. I just couldn't see how everybody else was happy, and I was so angry. I was struggling. And it wasn't until I realized a few core truths that happiness ended up not being so hard, and definitely not feeling as hard as I thought that it would be. So if you've ever felt like that, you've ever wondered, like, why can't I just be happy? Why does it have to feel like it's so hard to be happy? Then I want you to tune in extra special today and see if you are falling prey to any of these traps that make it feel like it's a little bit harder than it should be. So the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to this feeling of feeling like it should be more easy is the fact that we think it should be easy. We have an expectation that happiness is inherent. It's just human nature. That's how it should be. So when we don't have happiness in our life, and we feel like we're making these steps and it's just not happening for us, we feel like there's something wrong with us. Our expectation of self goes down. And our expectation of we should be happy, why aren't we, leads to these thoughts of feeling like failures, feeling broken, feeling useless, and feeling like you'll never be happy, and feeling like happiness is hard. But it can be a simple shift from that, because when we feel like it's inherent, it feels like it's outside of our control. It feels like it's something beyond us, and that we're broken and it just isn't for us. It just isn't for me. Happiness is somebody else's thing. I'm just naturally unhappy. I'm broken. I'm a failure. I've tried. It just hasn't worked. How many of us have said those types of things? I raise my hand on that because I used to say those types of things. And I remember being like happy as a kid. And then when I became an adult, that kind of went away. Life happened. And then I just was consumed by anger. And I had this expectation that happiness should be inherent. And so since it wasn't coming naturally to me and it wasn't coming easily to me, I must be broken and I must be wrong. I must be defective. When the truth of it is that happiness actually does take work. There are things in our lives that lead to us feeling happier. And I call these happiness habits. And if you can find and discover these happiness habits, happiness doesn't have to feel so hard. But the first part of it feeling so hard is that we have an expectation it should be easy. So when it's not, we let that take over. When the truth of it is that we can control our happiness. And by putting in place good happiness habits, it can feel easy. And it can feel like true happiness, because it is. So that's the first thing that makes us feel like happiness is hard and like maybe it's not for us. So if we can change that expectation, shift our mindset from, oh, everyone else is just so happy, I must be wrong, to, no, it doesn't come as easily. We have to put some work into it. Then it will come easy, if that makes sense, right? You have to shift your mindset from thinking happiness is easy to knowing you have control to make it easy. So that's the first one. Second one, along with all of those expectations and us seeing other people look like they're happy all the time and wondering what's wrong with us, we have been taught by a society to chase a checklist. Now hear me out on this, because this is going to trigger you. The societal checklist is, you got the degree, you've got the nice house, you've got the wonderful spouse, the great family, you have your own successful business, or you have that corner office, or you're working your way up through the ranks. So you're having all these things that society has said, if you get these, if you check these off of your checklist, you'll be happy. We've bought into that our whole lives. I mean, I know growing up, it was go to college, go to college, go to college, go to college. If you go to college, you'll get a good job. And if you have a good job, then you'll have a lot of money. And when you have a lot of money, you can have a nice house. And then your family will be supported and taken care of. All of that kind of builds up on itself, right? And if we meet that checklist, we have the degree, we have the house, we have the successful business, we have the wonderful spouse, the great kids, then what? The problem is we've bought into this checklist of items that deem success, and success in America specifically, but I'm sure this is similar wherever you are at. Success equals happiness. We've bought into that. When the truth of it is you can have all those things. I'm not saying they're not good. They are. Who doesn't want a nice, loving, and supportive spouse, a wonderful family, a career or a business you love, a house that is a sanctuary and a home? Me personally, I could take or leave the degree, but that's your own personal preferences there. So that said, you can have those things, but we have to shift our mindset to understanding that, yes, we can work hard for those things, but they don't equate to happiness. And when we get all of those things and we still don't feel happy, it needs another alignment, readjustment of our expectations. You can have those things. If you already have them, great. You're listening to this show because you want to be happier. You want to discover that your life has an abundance of joy, happiness, and peace. And if you're in the process of completing said checklist, that's okay too. I'm not telling you to throw it off the rails, but what I am saying is that this is an opportunity to discover what makes you happy. I can tell you, all of my clients, every person that I mentor and work with one-on-one meets that checklist. And every single one of them come to me and say, I should be happy. Should, keyword there. I should be happy. I have the great family. I have the great spouse. I have the house. I have the very successful and lucrative career. I went to school. I did all the things. And I'm not happy. Can you help? And absolutely, we work together in a 10-week period and we get them from, I have them rank themselves on a scale of 1 to 10. And this is actually a really good exercise for you to do right now too. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy do you feel? Most of my clients come to me at a 2 or a 3. And at the end of a at the end of a 10-week period, we're in the 7s, 8s, and 9s. Because it's not about the checklist. It's about what happiness means to you. The checklist is one size fits all, right? We've all bought into it. Happiness is your size fits you. So you can still have all that checklist of stuff, but we have to change our mindset from I have to work really, really hard, get this checklist, and then I'll be happy, to yeah, I want the house. I want the family. I want the job, the career, the business. But I also want to be happy. And so I'm going to balance that with my own happiness habits. I'm going to balance that with monitoring my inputs. And then happiness doesn't feel so hard. It feels easy because it's unique to you. And happiness is easy when it's your happiness that you are taking control of versus trying to meet somebody else's expectation of success and hoping it brings you happiness. So that's the second thing. The third thing kind of falls in line too with all of these. They kind of all build on each other. The third thing is that we think what works for someone else should work for us. There's a lot of shoulds when we feel like happiness shouldn't feel so hard, right? So what I mean by that is that we look at what other people are doing and we think, oh, I need to do that. And I'm going to use the example of early mornings, which is ironic because I'm a very early morning riser. But If you are not a morning person and everything out there says to you, you need to wake up early, you need to wake up early, you need to wake up early, and you tried 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 and you just can't do it, and you've worked out all of these things and you're just like, I can't, my body just does not want to wake up at that time, pivot. Find something else. You can be successful without waking up at 4 a.m. Maybe you're more like a night owl, and so you wake up a little bit later in the day and you get your burst of energy at another certain time in the day, and you're the most productive then, and you just need to work your schedule around that. It all depends on you. And when we look at what's working for other people and we try it and we keep on trying it and we keep on trying it and we keep on feeling like failures, of course happiness feels hard. Now here's what I'm getting at though. I am not saying don't try what other people are trying. Definitely do that. But try it, test it, and if it doesn't work for you, move on with grace and peace and find the thing that does work. Instead of beating yourself up and saying, happiness is hard, I'm broken, I'm defective, what's wrong with me? Everybody else can get up early. No, everybody else can't. It's a matter of finding what works for you. Your unique happiness is everything in this. And the last thing, number 4 reason of why happiness can feel so hard is that we make it harder than it needs to be. Let's say that one more time. We make happiness harder than it needs to be. It really can come down to a few simple habits customized for you that can make you feel happier every single day. That can make you jump from a 2 to a 7, from a 3 to an 8, from a 4 to a 9. And it's funny because nobody ever really wants to admit that they're at a 10. I'll admit I'm at a 10. Because you always feel weird. You're like, yeah, I'm actually really happy. And people are like, oh, that feels so weird to say because I was at a 2 8 weeks ago. It's like, yeah, I know. So you're fine. You can say 9.5. There's always room to grow. But the point is that we think that we should just have it and then we make it harder than it should be. We do all the research. We try to do all the things. And then we feel overwhelmed, burnt out. Plus, we're still trying to manage that family, that house, that business. Plus, oh yeah, we need to work out and we need to be waking up early and we need to, and you just add on to all these things and it makes it so much harder than it needs to be. Happiness is about finding what works for you, testing, trying things out 1 at a time, maybe 2 at a time, building on those habits, and then working towards them every single day. And that is as easy as something like 5 minutes a day. If you could spend 5 minutes a day focused on your happiness, think of how much improved your life would be. That's the thing. We think it's so much harder when we make it so much harder than it actually needs to be. Happiness does not have to feel so hard. It can feel easy if we dedicate a small amount of time to it every single day to discover what works for us. We build those habits and we test and we trial and we find the formula for us. We shift our mindset to not compare ourselves to others, and we realize that just because you have the societal checklist doesn't mean it equals happiness. It means finding it for you. So essentially, the biggest takeaway from all of this is, why does happiness feel so hard? It's because we're making it harder than it needs to be. We expect it to be inherent, and we don't live up to those expectations, and then we feel we're broken. And then we try to do what everybody else does, and it doesn't work for us, and it feeds more into the brokenness. When all it takes is not having that comparison attitude and mindset, testing and trialing and moving on with grace if something doesn't work after a fair amount of time, and finding the ideal happiness habits that help you be happier every single day. So I hope that this episode has broadened your mind to your life, and if you've ever asked yourself, why does happiness feel so hard? Hopefully this helps. It's all within our control. It's all within your control. And it can be simple as 5 minutes a day. Really, it can. Which brings me to something I'm really excited to talk about today, or I guess share with you guys today, is that I'm launching a new program called Happy Texts. And essentially what it is it's sharing with you every weekday knowledge about happiness in a small, digestible format so that you know why you're doing what you're doing. So if it's like, hey, we should do this as part of a happiness habit. And you're like, well, why? I don't get it. Why would I do that? This offers some of that information, that education, that knowledge around why, the psychology, the research, the studies, the information around why a certain happiness habit is worth trying, so that you can then try it and use that 5 minutes in your life to better push yourself towards more happiness. On top of that, there's also an action item every single day that you can do to add towards your happiness. And the whole thing can take less than 5 minutes a day. So essentially, if you've ever been like, I just don't know what to do, that's taken care of. I don't know why that works and I won't do it until I know why. That's taken care of. I don't know what to do and I just don't have the time. That's taken care of. And it's all in a simple text program right in your handheld phone, so you can get it straight to you at a time that is convenient for you, and you can dedicate those 5 minutes a day. So I'm really excited to announce that and launch that program here on, I believe, Monday of next week. So if it's something you are interested in, please let me know. It'll be $9 a month, so incredibly affordable. So if you're like, I don't have the knowledge, that's taken care of for you. I don't have the time. It's 5 minutes a day. That's taken care of for you. I don't have the money. It's less than $10 a month. Taken care of for you. The whole point here is that I want you to have something that can help you move forward every day, so that you can understand that happiness is not hard. It does not have to feel hard. Instead, it can feel amazing. It can feel unique to you, and you can find happiness abound. So, I'm so excited for that program, and I'm excited to launch it. So if you are interested in it, please let me know. It's taylor@happinessabound.com. I can get you on the waiting list, and we will be launching here fairly soon. So that said, I hope that this episode has helped. And even if the text program is not your cup of tea, totally fine. I hope that this episode has helped broaden your mind, expand your horizons, and help you realize that you are, in fact, capable of happiness abound.